This is a disaster.
This is a disaster!
Hey everyone, it's Jordan Faith. Here on my channel, I make all sorts of different wavy hair content, and today I'm trying robe curls on my naturally wavy hair. But first, make sure you click on that subscribe button if you're excited for today's video. Let's get started. I'm starting this routine with freshly washed and mostly dry hair. I'm going to add a little bit of the Trelux Reflex Serum just because I thought it might help hold the style a little bit better, but this might have been one of my first mistakes. I'm using my brush just to split my hair right down the middle so I have about equal sections on both sides, and of course to ensure that my hair is tangle free. You can see that my hair is a little bit puffy in the middle and toward the ends where it's more dry. I thought about blowing my hair out more straight and smooth before doing this, but obviously that would add time and effort, so I wanted to try it with just my hair as it normally air dries after being brushed, and that also might have been a mistake. I'm going to be using my daughter's stockings for this because they are just about the right length, and I thought it would be pretty easy and a good idea. I've seen this done with using a pair of your own leggings. Mine are pretty big. That probably would have been a little bit of overkill, but they're smoother and not quite as stretchy, so it might have worked better. You can use long socks. You can use a robe tie if you have one. I am using what I had accessible to me. I placed them right in the middle of my head and secured the side I'm not working on with a hair tie and a clip. From here, I'm going to be taking horizontal sections along the front and behind where the stocking lies. And I thought I was making them big enough, but they probably should have been bigger. For each section, I'm going to try to make it as smooth as I can and then bring it on top of the stocking and then around the back so it ends up pretty much back where it started. After the first two sections and until I reach the bottom of where my hair grows from my head, I'll be adding more hair to the existing section, sort of like you do with a French or Dutch braid. I watched a lot of tutorials in preparation for this and they all look pretty simple, but I cannot French or Dutch braid my own hair and I am just learning how to do it in general. I find it very difficult to get my hands to do what they're supposed to do, but it is a quite simple technique. You just have to get the hang of doing it, and I have not. Once I reach the bottom, so I'm not having to add any more hair to each strand, I am just going to continue the over and under pattern that I've been going in until I reach the end of my hair strands. I have seen people do this technique, but they only wrap the hair strands in one direction, back towards the back of the head. I was going to do that, but a lot of people said that this gives a better result. So I chose this, even though it is more complicated, and I should probably backpedal for my skill level and try the easier version next time. I'm carefully securing the ends with a hair tie, but this was really hard to get the very ends of my hair to lay smooth, and they ended up looking very crinkly and smushed in weird directions, unfortunately. I'm moving on to do the exact same thing on the other side. On both sides, I did end up having the stocking too far forward toward my face. It should have gone more down the center of my hair so that the back of my head had a more consistent wave to it. But I inadvertently kept pulling it further and further forward, mostly so that I could see it and handle it more easily. I could tell that I messed up in several ways, But I was pretty sure that if I undid it and tried to do it again, it was going to pretty much end up the same. I didn't think that I had had enough practice to make any real difference. So I just stuck with it, honestly, because if I tried to do it again, I probably would have gotten too frustrated. It's such a simple technique, and I feel like it should come more easily to me, so it can be a little discouraging when I'm doing such a poor job. Needless to say, I was very happy when I finally got to the end and was finished. On both sides, once I got to the part where I didn't have to add any hair anymore, I just kept repeating to myself, in front, behind, in front, behind, so that I wouldn't get confused and I could keep the correct pattern. Also, you're not really supposed to move the sock or the stocking or the robe tie. It should pretty much stay straight down the middle the whole time. But because I struggled with this and because the material was super stretchy, I kept finding myself moving it around to get it in its proper place so I didn't have to move the hair as much. Don't do that. Really try to resist the urge to move the tie around because it definitely can make things a little bit funky and less consistent when you move the material instead of just moving the hair. This is how they look after I have twisted both sides and secured them at the bottoms. It's not great. I am not claiming that I did a good job at this, but I did try. Like I said, I missed a lot in the back. They should have been further toward the back, but I'm going to take the stockings and wrap them around the back of my head and tie them at my forehead. It was a little bit too small, so I ended up pulling this loose. But this helps them stay secured, and I'm going to wrap the waistband of the stockings down around my head to keep everything in place. This sort of acts like a built-in sleep cap. Finally finished, feeling a little defeated, and it's time for bed. So I slept in this. It wasn't super comfortable, but it wasn't too bad. I just don't like having anything on my head. And ideally, I would have taken this out right in the morning, but because I have to film it, it is around noon now, and my kids are having their naps. So now I'm going to take it down. I'm a little bit nervous because I know I didn't do a great job, and I could tell that I should redo it, but I didn't think it would be any better if I tried to do it a second time. So we're just gonna go with it and see how it turns out. So of course a little bit frizzy, that's to be expected. Let's see how this turns out. I'm just going to unravel it. I think the ends are gonna be a little weird, but I did my best to secure them. It was hard. I think this material being super stretchy made it harder for me too. I'm sure the back is going to look really interesting because I pulled it too far to the front. This is how we're looking right now. I feel like I probably took smaller sections than I should have, but I'm going to go grab a serum to finish this out. Just using one pump, but the pumps are pretty large. The ends look rough. I feel like maybe the comb helped a little. I definitely should have taken bigger sections and maybe not pulled them so tightly. Maybe I should have blown my hair out first also, so it was more smooth and not so puffy. So maybe it's not that bad, but it definitely looks nothing like any of the influencers I've seen doing it. That's pretty much the story of my life. I never end up looking like the influencers, but I'm going to let it settle and check back in a few hours. And that's when I'll show the final results. And we'll see if it's any better. All right, it's about 5 or 6 hours later, and it has definitely flattened out a little bit, and I added a little bit more serum too, just so the ends wouldn't be as fluffy. So I'll say these are the final results. I don't think it looks too bad. I think it's relatively consistent and it is a really pretty pattern. Overall, I think I would consider this a fail. It looks pretty much nothing like any of the tutorials that show you how to do robe curls, but I'm not at all blaming the method. I am 100% blaming my execution of this method. I just did not do a good job. I made a lot of mistakes, and I should do a lot of things differently the next time that I try this, which will probably be in the somewhat distant future. I have just always had trouble doing any kind of style like that on my own hair. It's why I struggle with brush styling. It's why I can't French braid my own hair. Despite having a really hard time with it, I really truly think this is a pretty simple styling technique, and I think it's an amazing option, especially if you have very loose waves like mine or straighter hair, because it doesn't take too much time. It's really not too complicated, and you can end up with a very pretty style. Please don't let my lack of coordination and talent in this area scare you off from trying this. The next time I try this, I will probably use a smoother fabric and hopefully something that is not quite as stretchy. And I'll take bigger sections and I won't wrap it so tightly. I'll try to secure the ends a little bit better, and I'll probably cover it with something really smooth and silky, because I think covering it with the little stockings ended up kind of grabbing all of the ends of all of my heavy layering and making them stick straight out, which was making it look a little bit messy and not the smooth, romantic look that I was hoping for. If you have successfully done this method before, please tell me your tips and how you liked it in the comments. Let me know what you think of my attempt. I wish I had done better, but here we are. As always, I'll have the products that I used linked in the description. If you liked this video, although I didn't accomplish exactly the style I was hoping for, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notifications if you don't want to miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Remember to love yourself fully and faithfully, and I'll see you next time.